Good evening and welcome to the official ARK community. This is Fortunate coming at you. We are now sitting on November 26th, 2022. That means we are on our 26th podcast. We are very excited to be here with you tonight. We have a special guest with us as well, Mr. Z. And before we get to hear from him, let's pass the floor over to our wonderful founder, Mr. Atlas.
Thank you for the introduction, Fortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ARK. My name is Atlas, and as Fortunate said, this is the 26th podcast. We appreciate you being here, being a part of the family at ARK. A lot of you folks have taken the time to really do your research and spend some time with the white paper, spend some time with Dr. Kelly Snook's calculator, and really understand that ARK is built different. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of things that have been really re-engineered when you look at the whole ROI DApp space and what we're bringing to the table. Hence the name ARK. Everyone's playing on the same rules. We're on the same ship, as they say, and no one's able to really, you know, jump off. This is something that you know is built into the spirit, and our NFTs here and the private sale that we have going on. All of those NFTs, including the team and advisor tokens, are all going into the ARK vaults, so that when we launch it, we start all playing a game and earning here at ARK. There are no tokens in the wild, as well as after launch, we're going to continue the same system of making sure that when you purchase ARK, it's going directly to your ARK vault. There's so many other features. I'm going to have Brett come and talk a little bit about that, and after that, we'll have Z. We are still have 300 NFTs that are on sale. We have till Friday to complete that round. I know today after the AMA here, we're going to be heading over to the DGEM protocol and talk to those guys. There's a lot of investors over there that are very bullish on ARK. We did an AMA there last week, so we're going to be joining them at 4:30 p.m. PST time. So any of you folks want to come and join us, we'd love to have you over there with us as we talk about ARK. There's a lot of questions. A lot of folks are looking for where to go. Where are they able to come on a long-term basis, and where have all the improvements really taken place that we can all sit back and understand. Getting a return on investment is so important as investors for all of us, and it's built into ARK. It is not, a theory and a method of hyper compounding. Brett Norton, would you like to step up and share with us a little bit about the system, the work you've done for the folks that are here for the first time, or they've been here before, but they just want to hear more what's going on over here? Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Atlas. Yeah, you mentioned a couple key items there that will make a huge difference in keeping the price from swinging, so extreme like we've seen in other protocols where we see a huge hockey stick of green candles that happen, right out of the gate after launch, and then usually a downward trend to very, very low lows that we're seeing now today in a lot of the prices for these other protocols. A lot of that is attributed to people just buying the token off, the exchange and then holding it and waiting for the FOMO for the rest of the community to come in, and then they just continue to dump. They're not putting a majority of those tokens into the daily ROI DApp, and so they don't have to earn them out slowly like everyone else. But they are taking advantage of the price appreciation. So that's one major mechanic difference, I would say, that ensures that our liquidity isn't stressed, and the price doesn't affect the opportunity for other people to come in. I think that's the biggest thing. We just heard a story about people buying at the top of another project and then losing 1/16 of the price in a very short period of time, and there'll be no way that they can ROI for maybe more than a year. So yeah, we're very aware of that problem, and we've taken to account and built that mechanism into the protocol. The second thing is that, we have a, pay yourself first philosophy here. So we have a metric called CWR, which is a compound withdrawal ratio. We probably should call it the pay yourself first system. But what it does is it forces you to withdraw a certain amount, every week as you're progressing with your investment. So you'll be compounding and withdrawing from the very beginning, which is the right thing to do for an investor from an investment standpoint. As an investor, a lot of unsophisticated investors or people that are speculating, they don't take those profits right away. As a former trader, I can tell you that that's usually the case, and people end up not taking profits along the way and hanging on for that 100x, 200x, and it just never comes. So we've taken all of that emotion and that psychology out of the equation. By giving people those goalposts of a certain ratio to compound and withdraw on a weekly and monthly basis. So that in and of itself not only helps the investor, but also helps the protocol because it lessens the amount of sell pressure as these accounts grow to much larger sizes. When you're compounding, you're increasing the daily rewards in your account. If you aren't withdrawing along the way, it builds up into a very, very big number that you would have to withdraw out at the end in order to reach your max payout of 80,000 tokens. So our approach is much more balanced, will help sustain our liquidity in times when there is sell pressure. It will be much, much less sell pressure than the other protocols that we've encountered. The other thing is just the tokenomics. When I looked at the market that we were entering into, we knew 2022, 2023 was going to be a tighter time for a lot of people. We are probably about half of the tokens that you can net per wallet in our system versus some of the other daily ROI dApps that are struggling now. And the time for the payout is also extended as well. So it's a much more conservative payout. And that lends itself to obviously a lot more sustainability. We think that our price can sustain itself a little higher simply because our payout is less. So the net result in terms of money in your pocket could be similar, but the payout periods are extended slightly, and the flexibility we'll have with our system will be better. Because those payouts are not as extreme and as fast as some of the others we've seen. So that's another key sustainability. Lengthen the time horizon, give us a longer runway to put in place the external investments, which will feed our liquidity controller and sustain the development of the project. We have big plans for ecosystem expansion, going out into the real world for recruiting direct salespeople into the project, access and tapping into people that have never been in crypto before. So that's a really big initiative and something that I've been focused on recently. So as we kind of shift over towards launch, our development resources are going to shift as well. And we're going to go after developing this mobile application that we've been talking about. We had some good meetings today about it, and I've been in discussions already with a friend of mine. He consults with direct sales and network marketing companies. And so he already has at his fingertips several big key team leaders in these organizations who have hundreds, if not thousands of people already in their downlines. And they basically just they'll follow that leader from one company, one opportunity to the next. So what we're going to do is build a focus group, I'll call it that, of these experts in direct sales and network marketing. Jimmy Cash and I have been talking about that as well. He may have some resources he can bring to the table for that. But what we're going to do is have them review the materials and things that we're going to be providing to those salespeople, and those will all be available to everyone in the community. But they have very specific things that they typically look for. sort of like a basic package that they get of marketing tools. And so it's usually, a funnel type sales system where you have a landing page that has the referral link embedded in it, answers all of the questions regarding the project at a very high level, but then makes an offer, for them to get started. And when they do get started, they'll automatically, be assigned to that referral link. So they'll be part of that team that they join under. And then they'll start their process of making the investment. And then we'll have a very well thought out and built out education program that quickly follows. So it's, low barrier to entry, not only from the technology side of it, but also the investment side. And then an education roadmap that they go through where we're building them into an expert that then can go out and bring in more, recruit in more investors as well. So that's our main thrust right now, is to get that done as fast as possible and in as short a period of time after launch as we can. I think it can happen very quickly. I've already built out all of the content for the landing page and getting that assembled now, design-wise. And then it'll be a matter of getting the mobile application buttoned up and getting that developed. It's a separate DApp that we need to build. But because we already have the core DApp done, you'll see on the website when we launch, that next step into the mobile DApp will be much easier to do. Obviously, the process flow will be much more simplified. And then also we're going to try to do seamless integrations with fiat to crypto purchases, wallet connections, third-party storage of wallet keys, things like that, to simplify it for the user so they don't have to, follow all the steps of, going to a centralized exchange, buying crypto, sending it over to a MetaMask wallet, and then making a purchase at ARK. So we're going to try to simplify that down into as few steps as possible, and then later introduce the fiat off-ramp as well, which we think will happen early 2023. So that's kind of where we're heading, what I've been working on, some of the key differentiators. There's many more that I could go into, but just for the sake of time and keeping things at a high level right now, that's probably a pretty good summary. If anybody has any questions, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brett. If there's anybody who has a question, feel free to unmute your mic. Go ahead and ask us, or maybe have a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Z, I think it's all yours since we don't have any this moment.
I got a question.
Go for it.
Thanks, Z. In regards to the auto allocator, right? I know that you set it. You prepay your gas and you set it for whatever strategy you want. How will it adopt that strategy? Will it claim one day, compound the next if it's on a 4 and 3, or will it compound for 3 days and then claim for 4 days, or do you actually set that itself as well?
No, it actually all happens in one transaction every day. So if you're on a 1-to-1, for example, it's the easiest math to do. It would be a 50% of the available rewards are compounded, and then 50% of the available rewards are withdrawn in the one day.
Cool, thanks, Brett.
Sure.
Right ahead, Ben.
Any more questions before I get to the news? Do we have the floor? Should I continue?
Yes, please go right ahead.
Okay, perfect. So something I'm going to look into right now is to basically realize today is the 26th podcast, and it's a podcast that we will look back in history and time in sort of a timestamp, a carbon footprint, because crypto is really like, I mean, especially after the FTX debacle, we talk about our sort of issues that we have here, but realize that the markets are in a place of, of basically looking for hope after what's happened to like the centralization of things, like when we went through FTX. And I've been kind of looking into it, and what I sort of feel is there's a bunch of positivity to look out from it. I mean, like decentralized finance has showed much more transparency in reserves, and we've seen a bunch of PR that's sort of taken advantage of like, I mean, when the financial crisis happened in 2008, we sort of, Lehman Brothers and other sort of banks did fall, but then out that came out the Web 2.0, and we had Google's, Facebook's, and our Amazon sort of take in the new era. And I think the same thing is happening with DeFi and with crypto overall. And there's a few different industries that have started to make sort of a sort of PR stunt around it. So like one firm, which is called Yap Global, comes out with a quote saying, "All our team meetings revolve around trying to spin bad news into tolerable news." Right? There's a bunch of things in DeFi that happened. So we had Binance take up the peg. We had Huobi sort of say, we're going to come back and we're going to try to be top 3 in the exchanges, and we're going to take up the throne FTX left. There's actually a Matrix port, a big a fund here, a big DeFi project that attempting to raise $1.5 billion. There's $100 million being raised for institutional clients in another sort of DeFi sort of protocol. We have Ape adjacent NFTs, so like sort of Bored Ape are releasing the marketplace in this place. And so there's a bunch of things that are happening that are like basically that are like taking advantage of the situation, and that's what we did in 2008 as well in the recession. We've done it with our Bitcoin sort of community when Mt. Gox went down and when USDT came out, so it gets out with the old and with the new players, and that's where we're currently in DeFi. It's not just DeFi like our project or others. It's a bunch of folks that are going through the fiasco right now, especially after Thanksgiving, and the markets are rallying. We have a sideways movement, so I'm pretty hopeful there. And the other thing I want to kind of like point out is that whilst this is happening, there's a bunch of projects that actually succeed. And so one is called Farmy. Farmy is a supermarket in Switzerland that went crypto. And they sell organic produce and various vegetables, and they wanted to expand their platforms. So they conducted a crowdfunding where they tokenized equity in the company. They were able to actually meet their fundraising goals, right, in real time in this sort of week through tokenization. In that way, they made their core customers co-owners of the platform, which will only increase their loyalty. So a bunch of, you can say, positives have come out. So Huobi is another thing, a centralized exchange that came out and says, and their marketing sort of is around helping Huobi return to world's top 3 exchange. They want to be technology driven development and technology for goods and services. So a bunch, I would say, is happening. Bored Ape thing, I spoke about this week. Sold an ape for almost $1 million. So whilst we are going through a debacle of a bit of uncertainty, and so it's a debacle of 2 ways. So the first thing that's happening is sort of the FTX sort of debacle, and then you had Crypto.com being challenged, and a bunch of folks are asking for more transparency. They want reserves. So I want to talk about reserves a little bit, because I talked about OKX showing the proof of reserve yesterday. So what that means is folks can see exactly how much BTC, Ethereum, and you can say BNB that OKX are holding. And then they can also look at their personal holding and to see if they're able to withdraw and how much is available in stock. So they're starting to show transparency through proof of reserve. And Binance actually did that. So let me just get into this thing. So what Binance did was they added, so I mentioned yesterday that they had a $1 billion fund that they sort of launched to help struggling DeFi protocols. And I mentioned Ardana, I mentioned a few that needed thing, and FTX had a big project called Voyager. And Binance US has bid for Voyager, and is buying it up with it's going to be the first part of their sort of $1 billion fund. And this week they've actually added another $1 billion to it. So now the fund for recovery is actually $2 billion, because other sort of folks in centralized finance and in decentralized finance have actually stepped up and said, like, there should be a recovery fund. And if projects are struggling in this sort of like area of markets where there's a bunch of turmoil with centralized exchanges, like the smaller people shouldn't sort of suffer. So for me, Ardana was struggle this week. They were supposed to be the stable coin of your Cardano. They were going to be the next Curve. They were going to be the next yield protocol on Cardano. So it was unfortunate that they went down. But so now, yeah, Binance are stepping up. They've made their recovery fund $2 billion. So there's a bunch of positives that that added. So the article reads, Binance allocates another $1 billion for its crypto recovery fund. Other prominent crypto players, including Aptos Labs and Jump Crypto, have also joined Binance's initiative. So yeah, so CZ came out yesterday with the tweets, and yesterday Binance allocated another $1 billion to the industry recover fund, all in BUSD, which is awesome. It's all done in stables. So this is so guys, like, even though it's this 26th podcast today, it's a time in history that we're going to look back on this time to see which players actually stepped up. So up till now, I'm seeing a lot of optimistic outcomes where Binance is stepping up to buy Voyager. So Voyager is basically a big project that was funded by FTX, and CZ believes it's worth recovering with a good seed funding to keep it going, because it's a big project. So do check out crypto lender Voyager, because realize, guys, like when we sort of have mass adoption, it's going to start from the banking industry. So it's important for us to understand ROI apps, to understand how borrowing and lending works in DeFi, and how we can offer products. So Voyager was doing exactly that. It's a really good project. So Binance US are actually gonna buy out Voyager, which is pretty cool. So that's the news there. The other side that sort of crypto is suffering with is people realizing about data being tracked, right? So recently we had a sort of a consensus come out and say, like, we do track data, but since then they've been defending it, and they basically saying, like, we need to collect data so we can improve our UI, our processes, our functions, and so they've been sort of going under the wall a little bit with that, and then a week ago, I think a month ago, Uniswap came out and also revealed that they track their users data to improve their system. But they both protocols have sort of come out and mentioned that they don't basically sell off the data to any third party. They only use it to improve their mainnets and their operation, and that's what tech companies have to do if they want to improve things like the buttons they offer a feature, how many clicks they offer in their swap, and sort of visual UI and UX. So there's a bit of panic there. People think that their privacy is not being part of the consensus. and so we're gonna have more sort of reveals there. Uniswap made something really interesting, and what they say is the whole point of DeFi is to be as transparent as can be. So as much as we don't share the IP news, realize that the block explorer shows every single transaction on things. So DeFi is transparent as can be. So they made a quite important update and statement, and so did Consensus. I went through it quite a bit yesterday. So that's the news to start with, guys. The other thing that I want to work on is Aave, because we realized yesterday a hacker failed on Aave and got liquidated by $1.6 million, right? For trying to short Curve token on their platform by $60 million. And that short failed. And we have some more news on that. We actually found out that the person who did it was the same hacker that basically tried to take down basically he goes by the pseudonym of Eisenberg. And he did something very similar to Mango Markets last month. So Mango Markets is a Solana-based, you can say, project. And yeah, so he basically succeeded in that hack, and exploited Mango Market by I don't know, I think it was more than $100 million that he exploited Mango Market. So this week he tasked himself for something even bigger. The $3.64 billion crypto lending platform Aave, and so he failed, which showed a good understanding. So these are the reasons why I follow DeFi Llama for my statistics, to see which sort of protocols have the most liquidation, how much total value locked in the project, and a bunch of statistics that that we need sort of updating on. And so I'll continue doing that. So yeah, Eisenberg actually failed at his attempt with Aave compared to Mango Markets on Solana. So that's the news. So the guy was Eisenberg. So I'm gonna see if I can follow this person on Twitter. It would be an amazing sort of attempt. So if I find a handle, I will share it with you guys. So that's the news. So it was Eisenberg that did that attempted the Aave fact that failed. Now, what else have I sort of need to cover? The other thing is, the Consensus came out with another statement saying that like people need to calm down. Nothing has changed. We're going to continue improving our protocol, and we are never in any way. So people had the sort of query that our MetaMask, Consensus, going to sell our data to any third party, or are we going to share it with anybody? And they've come out on Twitter and with a Medium article explaining that it's nothing in that situation to be doing, sharing or selling to third party. We're going to stay DeFi. So this is what Infura had to say, right? Infura is the leg of Consensus. It goes, Infura does not improperly exploit this information, and Consensus does not monetize this information as some Web2 companies do. So that's their statement, and the crowd is a bit, giving a knee-jerk reaction on it. So it's something that we have to see much more build up on. So let me just continue and give you guys some more intel. So yeah, Voyager's been bought. The other thing I want to sort of make part of the podcast is for us to follow ICO drops, because folks, till this day, I want people to stop buying tops. And my sort of way of helping is for people to look into icodrops.com and look into projects that are just in the seed round phase or ended their ICO collection and seed round, and which ones have active things. So one project, so I talked about Astro Protocol being the KYC of DeFi yesterday. And now I want to mention another project that just raised 2.3 million, and it's called Primal. So Primal did their IDO on DAO Maker, and it's an industry that I'm sort of really interested, because it's more about sports apparels and the move to earn industry. So we had a few things that have succeeded in the past, you can say, 6 months that were move to earn projects, and so Primal is one of them, and it's a move to earn plus fan token plus inner circles sort of project. So it's going to work on sort of sports athletes and sports fans, and but not just that. It's sort of like also gives data on how many like sort of rounds a person runs, and you'll be able to track data in that way, and be able to challenge yourself to like to like do the same rounds of spars as you can say an athlete does, a boxer does, or you can say targets of jogging that a athlete does in soccer, or sort of like you can say athletic games. So yeah, move to earn, and yeah, it's and then basically Get Primal, right? It goes. So if you go to getprimal.com, they also are compatible with Apple Watch, with Fitbit, Whoop, and Aura, like hardware applications. And yeah, so do look into ICO drops. Look into you can say getprimal.com, and that basically covers my news for the day. I hope I didn't take too much time. Any questions?
Yeah, that was fascinating. A lot of good information there you've provided, Z. We really appreciate you, brother. Nice work.
Yeah, we should not panic, guys. We should not panic. We're gonna, as I said, we're gonna look back in time, and we're gonna be basically looking back at this time when FUD was at its highest peak in DeFi and centralized exchanges, and realize that this was a playing field for other players like Huobi, like Binance, to really step up their games and actually take the grip and try to get into the top three. In soccer, we have situations where financial fair play happened, and a lot of like big clubs got bankrupt because of bad financial practices. So when they sort of like Rangers was a football club, a soccer club in Scotland that went to the administration for a bit and were relegated 2 leagues down. And whilst they got relegated, other sort of football clubs stepped up, like Celtic, like Hearts. So the same thing's gonna happen in DeFi. Like we're gonna lose people like Lehman Brothers and these sorts of banks, and other folks are gonna step up. So Huobi actually said they want to be a top 3 exchange. They believe they have the intel, the technology, the roadmap to do exactly that and more of FTX. So yeah, so a lot of positive news, guys. Like keep understand that Binance are doing a $2 billion fund now. A lot of folks are stepping up their game. We've had amazing launches. We've had Bored Ape launch their marketplace. We've had, yeah, I'm just doing a little highlight reel of the different things that are happening in DeFi, and for y'all to understand that we have to stay optimistic and build on these sort of areas where if a dinosaur like FTX falls, that others can sort of take a cusp of that advantage, and Binance are certainly doing that. And yeah, that's how I see it. And we have to always keep our eyes on the next big project. So Primal is that. Do check it out, and we'll continue striving.
We sure will, brother. DeFi is not going anywhere, and ARK's really poised to take us through, as we look forward to regulation and really how the whole structure of the future is going to look like. It's going to be really important to see how this all plays. But meanwhile, the beauty of the smart contract, taking the middleman out of centralized finance with the smart contracts is really the way of the future. And I know you're a believer. You've been here in the space for a really long time and seen how it's just maturing. And part of growth is some growing pains. and having things that just don't stack up fall to the side and not be here, for the future. So that's what
Absolutely.
a lot of time has been spent. Go ahead, Z.
The other thing I wanted to point out is like one thing. So OKX showed their sort of proof of reserves, right? We talk about centralized exchanges. Like I think we've had this conversation. NATO pointed this out quite a few times, and he said, "Where's the transparency now, Z? Where's the transparency? How can you be positive?" So now a week into that, I can answer NATO's question. Said OKX show their proof of reserves, so they show you exactly how much sort of crypto they're holding on to, and you can also put your own sort of protocol to it. And on top of that, Binance have done their proof of reserve as well. Binance are showing their complete exposure to Bitcoin, to Ethereum, to BNB, to USDT, to BUSD, and we can also see customers' reserves. So isn't that positive news? Don't you think that's positive, Atlas, that the people are stepping up their games?
Absolutely. I mean, those that don't adapt and are able to pivot and innovate will just get left behind. There's a lot of market share out there, and we know the big boys are going to come into DeFi. Brett talks about that all the time, and I couldn't agree, more. This is our chance, this is our opportunity to really innovate and put ourselves out there in a professional manner. Having that mobile app, being able to onboard, offboard fiat in a very smooth process. That's gonna be huge for us, guys.
Absolutely. And Farmy, do check out Farmy, Farmy. It's a grocery store in Switzerland that sells full organic food and has adopted crypto as a payment. So do check it out.
Absolutely. I want to talk to Mr. Green about that. He lives over in Switzerland. I'm actually gonna pull up that webpage right now. You definitely sparked my curiosity, man.
Right?
How do you spell it again? You said
Farmy. Farmy. Farmy.ch. So they did their fundraising rounds just in this week, and they succeeded the target. So it's now
Wow.
people, and dude, the big thing is they made their customer base a part of their company. Isn't that cool?
Wow. This is beautiful, man. Do they have a DAO in this? Is that the
Yeah. I believe they do have a DAO. I'll give more information. We will definitely cover this in the next podcast. We should do. More people should follow this.
Yeah, I'm actually not able to search around since I don't have a zip code. They want you to do that before you're able to really access fully. I'll have to. I'll ask Mr. Green to give me one. We'll be able to get through there, man. So, are there any questions or comments, guys, at this time? Love to hear from you guys. Saturday night, I know a lot of folks are with their family, but there's a lot of folks that listen to this podcast the next day. They're in our DMs. They thank us for it. So very important to be here every night, record it, give these updates. We'll have more updates coming out tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have that video as well from Blockchain Ben. Looking forward to that. We've given him some materials, been answering questions for the past couple of days. And yeah, it's important that we get behind our message and letting folks understand that you can't brush all projects with the same strokes, as they say, right? Everything has its system, everything has its rules, and that's really the beauty of ARK, the way it's put together. So we got about, I think, 20 minutes before going over to our friends over at DGen Protocol. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the recording of the podcast for this evening. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Z, S23, Fortunate, Brad. You guys have been doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for your work. And thank you all who have come here tonight to participate with us. We will be back tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. EST, 11 p.m. UTC. And for those of you that are going to join us over there, we're going to hang out here after we finish the recording, and we'll just hop on over there. Thank you, folks, for attending. Have a good night.